Hey, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. Today we're playing Drakengard 3. If I said it wrong, I'm sorry. Make your own video where you say it right. Anyway, this is Drakengard 3 for the PlayStation 3. Obviously, this isn't the first Drakengard game. I believe the last two were on the PlayStation 2. I can't guarantee the first one, but I'm pretty sure the first one came in on PlayStation 2. And it kind of reminded me the first one anyway, which I played the most of. Reminded me of Dynasty Warriors with dragons in it. And not much has changed. The sequel was sort of like that too. This one came way late in the PlayStation 3's life cycle. I bought this a little over a year ago. I got this along with Assassin's Creed. No, it was less than a year ago. Sorry. I'm getting my time frame messed up because I got this with Assassin's Creed Rogue. This game went down in price fairly quickly because it got terrible review scores. Now, if you know anything about me, that doesn't affect me. I really just like the artwork of the box, and the game seemed like it had some style, and it was a cheap game. I wasn't really going to risk much, and I figured it'd make an interesting video. A lot of times I buy games that I find cheap at the store. Like when I go, I guess you could call it thrift store, but it's shopping. But even though sometimes I'll get a cheap game at GameStop, which obviously isn't a thrift store, but I'll also go to the retro store and Goodwill and stuff like that. I got this at GameStop, by the way, if you're curious. And I get a game that looks interesting, but if it's bad, I won't have buyer's remorse because I didn't spend a whole lot of money on it. And I figured if it's terrible, it'll make an interesting video. So, a lot of these games that I record, I haven't even played much of. I really dig this cutscene and how gory it is. That's one of my favorite things about this game, is how unapologetically gory it is. And I like how the character is really pale and wears white clothes, so the blood that gets on her contrasts her outfit and everything even more, so you can see the blood on her clearly. But anyway, this game got terrible reviews. Not a lot of people liked it. I went on YouTube to look it up. This is after, of course, I bought it when I went to YouTube and stuff. Because even if I don't go by reviews, sometimes I'll just look up stuff just because I'm curious if people liked it or not. But like, I like the cover and the back of the box seemed cool. And I was like, I really want to give this game a shot. I'm not missing out. And the game isn't without its flaws. One of the main flaws it has is its camera and targeting system. The next huge flaw it has is the frame rate's very inconsistent. Now I'm curious about this game because in my last video I said every single PlayStation 3 game I've recorded is like bordered. I don't know whether my thing fixed itself or is this recording at 1080p. It definitely doesn't look like a 1080p game to me, based on like playing PlayStation 4 games and native 1080p games on the PlayStation 3. But I don't know if I've used that recorder with any native games, and if it's using component cables, it can't really do native 1080p as far as I know. And that's exactly what you use because Sony never unlocked the HDMI on the PlayStation 3 to be able to have the HDMI recorded at 1080p. I don't know if that's something that they could change or is it something they can't change. If they can change it, I think they're being kind of dicks, kind of like how they are with the PlayStation 2 emulation on the PlayStation 4. But that's a video all on its own. Besides the targeting system and the infrequent frame rate, and like I said, this might be 1080p, and that's why I can get full screen with this game for some reason. If it doesn't record in full screen, disregard everything I said. but it appears that the whole screen is filled up. Usually I have borders on the side, which really shocked me when I went to go put this in, considering this is a PlayStation 3 game, because I had the border and everything all lined up. But if this is running at 1080p, I mean, I don't understand why they couldn't put it at 720p to help the frame rate out a little bit. For the most part, the frame rate functions fine. It's just if there's like a quick change in scenery, or a lot's going on in the screen at one time, like a lot of the particle effects. So you can see there's a lot of little particles and special effects going on every time you do something. Sometimes it slows the game down for a brief second. So far, I haven't come across anything that's unplayable. And from what I've played, and pretty much everything I've played in this game, is you'll see in this video. I think I played a little bit past this when I first got it, just to make sure the game's alright. But as you notice, when I play a lot of these games, I'm unlocking trophies, and that's because I haven't gotten to the game yet. I got it for, well, I get the games for me to play eventually, but I put it on the back catalog while I'm working on games that I'm playing at the time. Like right now, I'm going back and replaying Final Fantasy 13 and trying to level up my characters more and making videos on the side. So yeah, this is a game I'd like to eventually get to and play more of. Unfortunately, we can't see any of the dragon gameplay because I didn't want a super long video, because it's hard enough to get people to watch my channel, let alone watch a video that's over an hour long, which probably would be the amount of time. But I have seen the dragon gameplay that's in the other games in this game on other people's videos, and it does look pretty cool. Although it seems like the dragon levels suffer a little bit because, you know, you're not stuck to the ground, and the view is panned out, so it has to render more, and it slows it down. But the battle system seems very, very, very basic, which is fine. Dynasty Warriors doesn't have the most complex battle system, and I always felt like the Drakengard series was Dynasty Warriors with dragons. So we're fighting this titan, and it's barely like affecting me whatsoever. All the dragons seem to be named after angels in the Bible. I really don't understand what that's all about. I don't remember much about the other Drakengard games. I decided to play this, actually. I haven't even played it yet. E3 2015, they announced the sequel to Nier as a PlayStation 4 exclusive. I can't remember if it's timed or not, but whatever the fact, it's some type of PlayStation 4 exclusive, which is weird because the main game, the original Nier 4, was the Xbox 360. It did get a PlayStation 3 port, which is weird about Nier in general. And by the way, I want to point out while it's still on the screen, you notice there's buildings in the background. It's like it takes place in like this post-apocalyptic world, because there's castles, but then you see like skyscrapers that are dilapidated in the background, and it's really curious. And this game has like a sort of like a desaturated like art style with the blood. At least I'm colorblind, and some of you are confused by that. That means I can't always see red and green the way other people see it. Sometimes green looks brown, red looks brown to me. Sometimes like it's just hard to decipher like red and brown when they're together, or green and brown. Like sometimes the colors look brown, but I can very much tell like the red is red in this, and it doesn't look similar to brown to me. Or at least what I conceive red to be. But usually when I'm suffering from color blindness, things tend to look brown. But that's about it. So I'm not like blind or anything. I can tell the colors are desaturated in tone. Everything kind of has like this cold color scheme to it. a lot of blues, it looks like. I don't know how, once the video is rendered and everything, if that'll change, but graphics are kind of faded. I really like the grim, bleak art style, and it seems like the story deals with Armageddon in some way. Again, I haven't played the original Drakengard games in a long time. But anyway, we were talking about Nier. Nier is actually a spin-off of the Drakengard games, which I was not aware of until I was reading about it, because Nier came and went, and I didn't think twice about it. Didn't have anything against it. I just don't remember seeing a lot of coverage or anything, and the box art is pretty generic. Until I started seeing gameplay of it, it piqued my interest. Platinum Studios is just a studio I really like, so I follow them a bit more. They're working on the second Nier. And anyway, it's weird, like the PS3 version, they changed, in Japan, they changed the protagonist to like a young kid, where the Xbox 360 version in Japan, you play as an adult, and we got the adult version, and then the PS3 version in North America was also a port from the Xbox 360 version for some reason. Usually that's a bad sign. I don't know how the PS3 version runs. I got the Xbox 360 version because apparently the PlayStation 3 version is a little bit more expensive for some reason. Maybe they didn't make as many copies. I don't know. I don't understand the reasoning of the PlayStation 3 version being more, but it's a port of the 360 game instead of a port of the Japanese PlayStation 3 Nier, which is essentially the same game with a different character. Weird choice that they made, but I guess they were trying to appeal to a specific demographic. But anyway, I haven't played Nier yet. I'm excited to try it because I saw the gameplay and it looks really cool, and I'm glad that they made a sequel and showed some of the gameplay of the sequel and the character designs, which made me go back and look at the original Nier, which it looked really cool. I looked at a review on Classic Game Room. Mark Bustler showed it, and there's like monsters made out of like speakers and stuff. It looks nuts, and I'm like, how did I not know about this game? And I remember because the box art was generic, and a lot of times box art to a game is something that'll sell me, and in my opinion it had some weak box art. This game, even though it got terrible reviews, had like kind of a unique picture on it. It had like your protagonist here with like a flower in one of her eye sockets, and she was slightly coated with blood, and it was like a pen and ink watercolor drawing, and it just, I don't know, it looked cool. It made me want to look at the back of the box, and I didn't care about the bad reviews and the descriptions and everything. It looked interesting, and I don't know, so far, despite its flaws, I kind of dig this game. I haven't played any of the dragon levels yet, but from what I saw on videos, it looks pretty cool. I like how they have the cheesy anime motif characters, where the characters are kind of goofy, even though the situation's pretty grim. It's like they're joking and laughing about trips and stuff like that, and it's like really juvenile, like talk as if like a 6-year-old was playing Barbies and talking to each other, but at the same time, like, everything's like really bloody and grim, and it's the end of the world, and they're resurrecting demons, and it's just that kind of cheesy Japanese anime goodness that you either like or you hate. I'm not a huge anime fan. I like it sometimes, but it's one of the things that kind of got me into anime. A matter of fact, like, well, the anime that I watch, I don't watch a lot of it, and if I started listing all the animes that I watch, this video would probably end before I could finish anything. But it just reminds me of like the evolution of like the ones that are geared towards adults anyway, a Saturday morning cartoons, like if they grew up with you. And I I guess they're sort of comforting to me because I guess growing up, even on the NES, even though it didn't have voice acting and stuff like that, like you looked in the instruction manuals, they had a very manga look. And if you don't know what manga is, that's just a term used for Japanese comic books. They're typically in black and white and are thicker usually than an American comic book. They're usually the size of like a small novel. But yeah, so it was just a natural evolution. I remember when I was a kid and I saw these cartoons in an adult section, and it always confused me, and I wanted to rent the videos. I remember seeing Akira in the video store, and kept on asking my mom if I could rent it because it looked really cool. There's like this dude on this motorbike and all this stuff, and then you look at the back of the box and you see like Neo Tokyo, and there's like this big hole like blown out of like the city, and there's like this mutant kid and all this stuff, and I was like, wow, this looks cool. And then when I rented it, the sense that I could make out of Akira the first time I watched it, because that movie begs for multiple views because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense if you just watch it the first time and know nothing about it. It's like an onslaught of information and awesome video style and all this stuff. I remember watching it and then watching it again, and the animation was incredible beyond anything that I had ever seen at the time. But yeah, that's my first introduction to anime. And then honestly, like shows like G.I. Joe, The Real Ghostbusters, Transformers wasn't animated all that well, but it was animated overseas. I remember in my head it looking a lot better, but then I saw some Transformer reruns that came on at like 6 o'clock in the morning on some local channel not too long ago, and it was pretty bad. I was like, I watched this? But then I went and watched The Real Ghostbusters, and that still looks really good, at least the early seasons. Like seasons 1, 2, and 3. I should be talking about the game, but as I said in the past, sometimes my videos aren't about the game. I already told you I like this game and what I didn't like about it. And maybe once you start playing, the fighting gets better. Honestly, it's probably easier to use the analog stick to rotate the camera than to use the targeting. I'd only use the targeting in this game to turn around really fast towards your enemy. But yeah, anyway, that's Drakengard 3. Got bad reviews, but I would say try it for yourself and be prepared for some flaws like dips in frame rate and the targeting being off. But I think there might be a pretty good game underneath if you give it a chance, but I can't say I haven't played that much of it. From what you saw is pretty much what I've played so far, but I've enjoyed this, and maybe this isn't your cup of tea, but so far I personally like it, but I'm fully aware of the flaws. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you on the next video. Thanks for your support. Bye.
If you want to, like, comment, and subscribe! Thanks for watching!